Greetings, everyone. My name is Ashton H. Today, we're going to explore a powerful technique that's not only backed by research, but also transformative for learners of all ages. The title of this presentation is The Power of Recall, and we'll be diving into a concept known as retrieval practice. This learning strategy revolves around the idea that actively recalling information helps strengthen memory and understanding. Instead of simply reviewing or rereading material, retrieval practice challenges us to bring information to mind, which in turn solidifies what we've learned. Throughout this session, we'll uncover the science behind why retrieval practice works, how it combats the forgetting curve, and how we can integrate it into learning or learning environments to maximize retention and understanding. Now let's dive into the power of recall and explore how retrieval practice can transform learning. By the end of this session, you will have 5 specific learning outcomes. First, you will be able to define the concept of retrieval practice and explain its significance in enhancing memory retention. Second, you'll analyze how the forgetting curve impacts long-term learning. Third, you will be able to compare the effectiveness of retrieval practice with other study techniques to improve learning strategies. Additionally, you will evaluate how active recall can be integrated into your teaching to promote deeper understanding. Finally, you'll be able to create and apply effective retrieval practice methods in your classroom or personal study routine using reflection and feedback as key tools for improvement. The big idea behind this presentation is simple yet powerful. Retrieval practice is a proven technique that strengthens memory and transforms how we learn. Instead of passively reviewing information, retrieval practice encourages us to actively recall what we've learned. This method leads to deeper understanding and long term retention, helping both students and educators achieve better results. Throughout this session, we'll explore how incorporating retrieval practice can make learning more effective and enduring. Core problem we face is that many traditional learning methods, such as passive review and rote memorization, are not effective in strengthening long term memory. While these methods may help students in the short term, they do little to support the retention of information over time. Without active engagement and reinforcement, knowledge fades quickly. This gap in retention affects both student performance and the overall learning experience. The challenge lies in finding better strategies that can transform how we learn and retain information. One of the biggest challenges in education is the learning gap that forms when students don't consistently retrieve what they've learned. When we rely solely on passive study techniques like rereading or highlighting, we fail to engage the material in a way that promotes long term retention. This leads to a gap between what students initially learn and what they can recall later. Without the use of retrieval practice, students often forget key information quickly, making learning less effective and sustainable. Retrieval practice is a powerful strategy for identifying and addressing these learning gaps. Research indicates that actively recalling information rather than passively reviewing it significantly enhances long term retention and understanding. A major hurdle we face is student engagement. When learners aren't actively involved in the process, their understanding and retention suffer. Passive activities, such as listening to lectures or rereading without interaction, don't engage the brain in a meaningful way. This leads to surface level learning that fades quickly. To address this, we need to use techniques like retrieval practice, which actively engages learners and strengthens their connection to the material. Testing, for example, increases attentiveness during lessons and helps students better gauge what they know and where they need to improve. Remember, Engaged learning is lasting learning. Many learners rely on ineffective strategies like rereading notes, highlighting, or cramming before an exam. These passive techniques may feel productive, but they don't lead to deep learning or long term retention. Research shows that without active recall or retrieval practice, much of what we learn is quickly forgotten. To truly reinforce learning, we need to move beyond these ineffective strategies and adopt approaches that actively engage the brain, such as retrieval practice. While rereading and masked practice are commonly used, they are among the least effective methods for promoting long term retention and understanding. Let's start with a multiple choice question designed to illustrate how retrieval practice works. Retrieval practice is all about pulling information from memory rather than just passively reviewing it. By asking ourselves these kinds of questions, we actively engage with the material, reinforcing what we've learned and strengthening our ability to recall it in the future. Now let's test our understanding of the most effective way to enhance long term memory retention. Please take a moment to read the question and select the best answer. Which of the following is the most effective way to enhance long term memory retention? Number one, rereading the material. Number two, highlighting important points. Number three, retrieval practice. Number four, memorization through repetition. Once you've made your selection, let's review the correct answer. Correct answer is three, retrieval practice. This is because actively recalling information strengthens the pathways in our brain, making it easier to retain and retrieve that information later on. In contrast, rereading, highlighting, or repetition may give the illusion of learning, but they don't engage the brain in the same way retrieval does. Reflection is another important part of the retrieval process. After answering a question and receiving feedback, it's useful to take a moment to think about why the correct answer was right or how it connects to the broader concept. This reflection strengthens understanding and helps transfer information, knowledge into long term memory. Now, I'd like you to reflect on the process we just went through. Take a moment to consider this question. How did the process of answering a multiple choice question make you think about the material differently? Reflect on how this experience might improve your learning in the future lessons. Take a piece of paper and write down your personal reflection. Think about how retrieval practice, in the form of answering questions, forces you to actively engage with the material in ways that other methods might not. How does this change your approach to studying or teaching? Thank you for your reflections on the process of answering multiple choice questions. Here's how this experience can shift your thinking about the material. Number one, critical reflection. It encourages deeper thinking about concepts and your reasoning. Number two, connection to course content. It prompts you to make connections between different ideas, enhancing understanding. Number three, recognition of misconception. You can identify and correct misunderstandings when faced with challenging options. Number four, motivation for further learning. Encountering difficult questions can inspire you to explore the material more thoroughly. By reflecting on your experience with these questions, you can leverage this active engagement to improve your study habits and deepen your understanding of the subject matter. In today's session, we'll cover four key areas. First, we'll explore the science behind retrieval practice and how it enhances learning. Next, we'll examine the forgetting curve and why memory fades without active recall. After that, we'll dive into active recall strategies, including multiple choice and reflection questions, and how they support long term retention. Finally, we'll discuss the practical application of retrieval practice in your teaching or learning environment and conclude the debrief on how to effectively integrate this approach into everyday practice. Today, we'll explore one of the most powerful techniques to improve learning and memory: retrieval practice. This transformative approach focuses on pulling information from your brain rather than simply putting it in. The neural pathways in the brain strengthen when we use retrieval practice. By actively recalling information, we reinforce these connections, making it easier to access knowledge in the future. This method not only enhances retention, but also promotes deeper understanding and engagement with the material. As we delve into the principles and strategies of retrieval practice, think about how implementing these techniques can empower you to become a more effective learner and educator. Periodic retrieval of learned information plays a critical role in strengthening memory connections and the cues for recalling it, while also weakening competing memories. One way to maximize the impact of retrieval practice is by applying the spacing effect. Spacing out retrieval attempts over days or weeks enhances memory retention far more effectively than cramming. By allowing time to pass between practice sessions, you give your brain the opportunity to reconstruct knowledge, leading to stronger long term memory. Let's move on to another multiple choice question. Please take a moment to read and select the best answer. What is one of the key benefits of retrieval practice? Number one, it allows for passive learning. Number two, it strengthens memory retention. Number three, it requires less effort than studying. Number four, it focuses on rote memorization. Now that you've made your choice, let's review the correct answer. The correct answer is number two. It strengthens memory retention. Retrieval practice is highly effective because it requires you to actively recall information, which strengthens the connections in your brain. Unlike passive learning or rote memorization, retrieval practice engages deeper cognitive processes, making it a more powerful way to enhance long term retention. Now, let's reflect on this question. How does retrieval practice change your approach to studying? Think about how active recalling information, instead of just reviewing or rereading, can shift the way you engage with material. How might incorporating retrieval practice into your study routine help improve your long term memory and understanding? Take a moment to write down your thoughts. Consider how retrieval practice challenges your brain in a different way and what impact that may have on your learning outcomes moving forward. Now that you've reflected on how retrieval practice changes your approach to studying, let's consider some key takeaways. Number one, active engagement. Retrieval practice promotes active engagement with the material, moving from passive review. By actively retrieving information, you're more involved in the learning process. Number two, memory strengthening. Actively retrieving information strengthens your memory and enhances its durability. Each recall reinforces the neural connections associated with that knowledge. Number three, deeper learning. This method encourages deeper learning and understanding compared to passive strategies like rereading or highlighting. It challenges you to think critically about the material. Number four, improve retention. Incorporating retrieval practice into your study routine leads to better retention and improved long-term learning outcomes. You're not just memorizing facts, you're actively working to recall and apply what you've learned. By focusing on these takeaways, you can transform your study habits and enhance your overall learning experience. Memory fades quickly over time unless we actively retrieve it. Our brains are wired to forget, and without reinforcement, knowledge slips away rapidly, as shown by the forgetting curve. So, how do we combat this? Through retrieval practice, actively recalling information to strengthen long term retention. Memory is strengthened, and forgetting is interrupted through this process. By actively engaging in retrieval, we not only slow down the forgetting curve, but also reinforce the neural pathways that make recalling information easier in the future. This method doesn't just help us remember facts, it transforms fleeting knowledge into durable, long lasting understanding. Frequent retrieval practice can interrupt the forgetting curve. While the natural tendency is for memory to fade, introducing retrieval exercises at regular intervals can flatten the curve, keeping the information accessible over a long period. This method effectively minimizes the natural decline in memory over time. Retrieval practice also helps decrease the likelihood of memories being affected by both retroactive and proactive interference. Let's look at another question. Please take a moment to select the best answer. What does the forgetting curve illustrate? Number one, the effectiveness of repeated reading. Number two, the decline of memory retention over time. Number three, the advantages of passive learning. Number four, the need for continuous study without break. Now that you've chosen your answer, let's review. The correct answer is number two, the decline of memory retention over time. The forgetting curve illustrates how our memory of new information fades without reinforcement, such as retrieval practice. It shows that unless we actively engage with the material through recall, our retention diminishes as time passes. This is why techniques like retrieval practice are so essential to long term learning. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on how we can apply what we've learned about the forgetting curve to improve our study habits. How can you apply the concept of the forgetting curve to improve your study habits? Think about the strategies you might use to combat forgetting and enhance retention. Take a moment to write down your thoughts and ideas. Thank you for your reflections. Let's discuss how understanding the forgetting curve can enhance your study habits. Number one, regular review. One effective way to apply this concept is through regular review sessions. Instead of cramming before an exam, schedule periodic reviews of the material. This spaced repetition combats decline in memory retention over time. Number two, active recall technique. Implement active recall strategies such as flashcards or practice questions. These techniques force you to retrieve information, reinforcing your memory and counteracting the forgetting curve. Number three, self assessment. Use self assessment tools to gauge your understanding of the material. This can help identify areas that require more focus and help you stay on top of your learning. Number four, rest and break. Finally, incorporate rest and breaks into your study routine. This allows your brain to consolidate information and improves retention, making your study sessions more effective. By applying these strategies informed by the forgetting curve, you can enhance your learning, retain more information, and approach your studies with greater confidence. Active recall deepens understanding and strengthens memory connections. Retrieval practice works by making your brain work harder. When you actively recall information instead of passively reviewing it, you build stronger connections in your memory. This not only helps you retain information longer, but also enables you to retrieve it more effectively when needed. By engaging with the material in this way, you create a more meaningful learning experience. This method promotes deeper understanding, allowing you to apply what you've learned in various contexts rather than just memorizing facts for an exam. Ultimately, retrieval practice transforms learning from a temporary effort into a lasting skill. Effortful retrieval requires more cognitive engagement, which strengthens the connections in your brain. The more effort you put into recalling information, the stronger those memories become. This reinforces the importance of challenging yourself during the retrieval process rather than relying on easier passive methods. When tasks are challenging, mistakes tend to be viewed more favorable compared to situations where the challenge is too easy or overly difficult. It's important to recognize that errors of the same skill can be judged differently depending on learners' expectations and the criteria for success in the task. Let's move on to another question. Please take a moment to read and select the best answer. What is active recall? Number one, reviewing notes passively. Number two, repeating information aloud. Number three, actively retrieving information from memory. Number four, watching videos on the topic. Now that you've chosen your answer, let's review correct one. The correct answer is number three, actively retrieving information from memory. Active recall is a learning strategy that involves actively stimulating your memory during the learning process. Unlike passive methods such as reviewing notes or watching videos, active recall requires you to engage with the material by retrieving it from memory, which strengthens your understanding and retention. This technique is highly effective because it challenges your brain to reinforce the connections associated with the information, making it easier to access later. Incorporating active recall into your study routine can lead to significant improvements in long term memory, retention, and learning outcomes. Now let's take some time to reflect on your experiences with different study methods. How effective do you find active recall compared to other study methods you've used? Consider how active recall has worked for you in your learning journey. Think about specific examples or instances where it may have helped or hindered your understanding. Please take a moment to write down your thoughts. Thank you for your reflections. Let's discuss how active recall compares to other study methods. Number one, higher retention rates. Many students find that active recall leads to a higher retention rate than passive study methods, such as rereading or highlighting notes. Engaging with the material actively can make it stick better in your memory. Number two, deeper understanding. Active recall often promotes a deeper understanding of the content. Unlike methods that encourage surface level memorization, such as simply repeating information, active recall requires you to think critically about what you're learning. Number three, immediate feedback. One of the strengths of active recall is that it provides immediate feedback. When you test yourself, you quickly see what you know and what needs further review, helping you focus your study efforts more effectively. Number four, flexibility. Active recall can be adapted to various subjects and topics, making it a versatile study tool. Whether you use flashcards, practice quizzes, or discussion prompts, active recall can be applied across different contexts. Reflecting on your experiences with active recall compared to other methods can help you tailor your study strategies to to what works best for you. By integrating active recall into your routine, you can enhance your learning outcomes and build more effective study habits. Now, let's explore some practical suggestions for implementing retrieval practice in your learning and teaching. These strategies will help enhance memory retention and engagement. We'll discuss self quizzing, collaborative activities, and the use of reflection journals. First, let's look at self quizzing. This technique involves actively testing your knowledge through flashcards or quiz apps. By scheduling regular practice sessions, you can reinforce your learning and identify areas of improvement. Peer quizzes can also enhance understanding by allowing collaboration and discussion among classmates. Next, we have collaborative learning through group activities. Organizing study groups focused on retrieval practice can significantly boost engagement. Incorporating team quizzes or trivia games promotes recall and fosters discussions that require active participation with the material. This approach not only enhances memory, but also builds a supportive learning community. Lastly, let's discuss reflection journals. Encourage students to write down what they remember before and after studying a topic. This practice not only solidifies their learning, but also allows them to reflect on their experiences and challenges. By tracking progress and identifying areas for improvement, reflection journals can play a vital role in enhancing learning outcomes. In conclusion, the big idea of this presentation is that retrieval practice is a proven method for transforming how we learn. By shifting from passive review to active recall, we not only improve memory retention, but also foster deeper understanding and long term learning. This approach makes learning more efficient and effective, leading to better outcomes for both students and educators, and ultimately making the learning experience more meaningful. As we wrap up our exploration of retrieval practice, let's consider one last question. Please take a moment to read and select the best answer. What is the overall benefit of using retrieval practice? Number one, it eliminates the need for studying. Number two, it increases memory retention and understanding. Number three, it is easier than traditional studying methods. Number four, it relies solely on memorization technique. Once you've made your choice, we'll discuss the correct answer and its implications for your learning. The correct answer is number two. It increases memory, retention, and understanding. As we've learned throughout this presentation, retrieval practice is a highly effective strategy for both enhancing memory retention and comprehension of material. By actively engaging with the content through self quizzing or other recall techniques, you reinforce your learning and create stronger neural pathways in your brain. This not only makes it easier to retrieve information in the future, but also deepens your understanding of the subject matter. Incorporating retrieval practice into your study routine can transform how you learn, making your study sessions more productive and meaningful. As you leave here today, consider how can you implement these techniques in your own studies for better long-term outcomes. As we conclude our discussion on retrieval practice, let's take a moment to reflect on how you can apply these concepts in your future learning or teaching. How will you implement retrieval practice in your future learning or teaching? Think about specific strategies or technique you can use to integrate retrieval practice into your routine. Please take a moment to write down your thoughts. Thank you for your reflections. Now let's discuss how you might implement retrieval practice in your future learning or teaching. Number one, regular self quizzing. One effective way to incorporate retrieval practice is through self quizzing. Whether you're preparing for an exam or teaching a concept, create flashcards or practice questions to test your knowledge actively. Number two, incorporating group activities. If you're teaching, consider incorporating group activities that promote retrieval practice. This could involve peer teaching or collaborative quizzes, where students work together to recall and discuss key concepts. Number three, utilizing space repetition. Implement space repetition in your study schedule. Review material at increasing intervals to reinforce memory and combat the forgetting curve. This can be applied to both personal study and lesson planning. Number four, reflection journals. Encourage the use of reflection journals where learners can jot down what they remember about a topic before and after studying it. This helps solidify information and identify gaps in understanding. By thinking about how you can integrate these strategies, you'll enhance your learning experience and improve your effectiveness as a teacher. In conclusion, incorporating retrieval practice not only strengthens your understanding and retention, but also empowers your students to become active learners, fostering a more engaging and effective educational environment.